We live now. We back. Oh man, hold on. Let me mute up real quick. Hey, talk to him real quick. Let me mute up. My wife calling me.
What's good? What's good, people? I don't even know what the title of the show. The flip side of the game. That's it. That's it. Flip side of the game. Dealing with the streets, the shootings, the deaths. Me and George was talking from this morning, chopping it up about certain people close to him who've died, how they've died, how there's just no code out here. So that's the basis of the show. Come in, people. Like, share, subscribe. You know the routine. Get on it. Come in. We're about to get this thing on and popping. Big up to the chat room. Big up to everybody coming in and sharing the link.
Naima, what's happening, Naima? She's simply unique. Yeah, me and brother Richie, we was having a wait a minute, one second. Yeah, we was having a conversation on the phone. And I was telling brother Richie, man, about the last couple of days, man, there's been a lot of tragedy. In my life and what's going on with people around me. I've been going to sleep night and waking up in the morning to, yo, you heard what happened to such and such? You heard what happened? And I'm like, for the last 3 days, back to back to back to back, you know, um, there's been murder. And what I want to do is I want to talk to the young people that will see this video about the flip side of the game. Um, my niece, baby father, was murdered. He was I guess he was kidnapped and murdered. They found his body in Delaware. Um, but then yesterday, his best friend was murdered in the projects. One of my other homies was killed 2 days ago with his girlfriend. She was also killed. Um, and the reason why I'm doing this stream because I did a stream a couple weeks ago about black women being shot here in Philadelphia, how they don't have no picks. But I want to do the flip side of the game because see, this my avatar that I have up there now is me paralyzed from the chest down in the wheelchair. As a product of the game, grown man business, being in this game. That was the flip side of the game. There I am at 22 years old, living the time of my life, got bitches, cars, houses, everything. And New Year's Day, 97, in the twinkle of an eye, boom, I'm paralyzed and can't walk, right? And figure I'm gonna have to learn how to walk all over again. And like I said, I was in the streets, I was running wild, I was doing wild shit. And we was promoting that gangster, that thug life. I'm 22, I'm living it up. I'm having it my way. I'm having it my way. Hundreds of thousands of dollars. And take trips anywhere, anywhere I want to go. I can do all these different things, right, at a young age. And what I think most young people and what my son had to learn, grown man business, is the flip side of the game. Because see, we watch these videos and we see people popping bottles. We see girls busting it open in videos and twerking and shaking their ass. We see guys pulling up in cars. We see, we see it all, right? We see it all. But the other, hold on a second. Oh, this shit's starting to come up now. All of a sudden. What we don't see is the other side of the game, the home invasions, where dudes is doing anything to get that paper. They running up in houses and committing homicides and robbery. Dudes taking penitentiary chances to get that money, man, so that they can shine, so they can have that Benz, they can have that platinum rollie, or they can get that big booty bitch. You know what I'm saying? All of that. And then what happens is, what's going on, Taz? What happens is we watch the news and you see the news, you see the newscasters say, well, a man was gunned down the day in the projects. His car was shot up 16 times. And everybody's sad and everybody's crying. Oh my God, I can't believe what they did to. I can't believe what they did to little Johnny or whatever. But we never take into account the life that little Johnny was living. We never take into account, you know, the shit that in the street that we had to do to acquire that wealth that bring about death. Now, one of my homie, Wop, that was shot in the head twice. He was a street guy, but not really a street guy. Like, not really into the rah-rah shit. You know, he was always like pilled the fuck up. But he allegedly got killed because his girlfriend was behind some fuckboy shit in the streets, and they came to get her, and he was in the house with her. He died. This was one of my homies. AIM at 44. He's about 10 years younger than me. I was always getting on him about doing the right thing. I just seen him. What's the day? Wednesday. He got killed Sunday night. I had just seen him that Saturday and was hollering at him because he was high sitting on the steps. And like, yo, it's early in the fucking morning. What the fuck is you doing high? What are you doing high already? And he, you know, oh, big homie, you know, I'm good. And lo and behold, how was he to know that he was going to be gunned down and murdered the fucking very next day? The very next day. See, we like the street life. We like the glorified death culture. But when death comes to your doorstep, you know, we always crying and everybody's saying, if you know anything, if you see anything, just tell me what happened. Somebody just step up and speak. But then we got a no snitch culture. So I'm trying to figure out, me at 44, I done been through everything. I'm talking about, I was on the phone yesterday with O'Shea, and I told O'Shea the time, Great Black Shark, when I was this is before I got paralyzed, and I was on my knees shooting dice in the alleyway in my hood, right? And somebody that I had just gotten to something with 2 days prior, we had just had a big thing, you know, I mean, went down in the hood. He rolled by and must have saw the crap gang, pulled over, but he not from my hood. He jumped out and ran up on me while I had my back turned and kicked me in the back of my head. And when I turned around, he pulled the trigger, but the gun jammed. He pointed the gun at my face and pointed the trigger and the gun jammed. And I sat there for a minute and I froze and I jumped up and I pushed him up against the wall, hopped the fence and ran. But I think I was about 20 years old at that time. Here it is 24 years later. I still remember that like it was yesterday. But I was living that life, you know, having the privilege of being in the street task of having a dad that was African American and a mom that was Cuban, a Cuban and Panamanian. I never had to take the route as far as the game the way other people did. I came in the game already getting money, being the plug, because I was black, but I had that other side of my family where the situation was lovely. So here I am, 20. Getting money, got bitches, cars, everything. You couldn't tell me nothing. You couldn't tell me nothing. I was doing what I wanted to do. And if you was in my way, we was moving you the fuck out the way. You see what I'm saying? We was moving you out of the way. We was doing our thing. I didn't have a care for anybody that wasn't a part of my team, a part of my squad. Nigga, either you rolling with us or you in the motherfucking way. And the thing is, what I didn't realize was what I was putting my father through at the time. That's what I didn't realize. I remember I was just telling Richie on the phone. I remember every time there was a shooting, my dad would call on the news. My dad would call me, son, where you at? I just called to see where you was. Me being on trial and going to prison, seeing my father having to come to court and watch him in the back of the court. Every time I got in trouble, he was there in court for me. You know what I'm saying? Always there. But I didn't realize what I was putting my parents through until I got this age and I'm now a parent. So I had a son that's locked up upstate that was doing 11 and a half to 22 years. By the grace of the Most High, they just reduced his sentence to 4 to 8. I didn't never understand what I was doing to my dad. You know, living the life I live. You know, getting paralyzed. You know, being in cars that was shot up, having to go to the hospital, and your father coming there, he got to get up 3 o'clock in the morning. Having a home where your sisters lived in with your aunt, and some niggas home invade the home and tie up all the women in your family, skinny boy. See, this is the flip side to that game. May 15th, 1997, some dudes went to my auntie house, right? Knocked on the door and said that they was my girlfriend. My youngest sister, who was just a little girl at the time, went to the door and she heard the name and she thought it was my girlfriend. She opened up the door and they went in there with AK-47s and tied the whole family up for money. By the grace of the Most High, they didn't kill anybody. But while I'm out at the club, shaking and moving, popping bottles, listening to Biggie, got bitches busting it open, my family is being tied up. All the women in my family. Because while you getting money, you got other people that they ain't into selling drugs. They take money. And sometimes you don't even see them niggas because you living so high above the clouds, you don't recognize that you got drug dealers, police, and niggas that take money, skinny boy. And the fucked up thing about this, Richie, is I had money in that house. The money was in the bag, Richie, in my little sister's room, the one that opened up the door. And when they had all my sisters, my baby niece was in the back room sleep. They didn't get her up. When they had all my sisters and my auntie, who raised me as my mother, on the floor tied up. They said, "Where is the money?" Now watch this, Richie. They knew it was money there because somebody that was close to me, that I looked at as a brother, basically set it up because he went running his mouth. And when the guys came to approach him about it, he didn't stop him from doing it. So they knew that it was a bag there. But my sister never gave them the money, never told them where the money was. Long story short, they didn't get the money. Once we got the call and we got there, 100 deep, the crew got there, and I seen my auntie crying because somebody hurt my aunt, who I looked at as my mother because I wasn't raised by my mom. So you know I'm enraged. And I go to my sister and I say, "Did you give him the money?" She said, "No." So I start cussing my little sister out because she didn't give him the money. And I said, "Why didn't you give him the money?" She said, "When they first asked for it, I told them that there wasn't no money here. So I just didn't give it to them." So they went in there and tied the whole family up. So what I'm saying is, we like to glorify, this culture. Like, you look at these videos that come out, you look at the gang culture, and you see, I posted a video yesterday of the guy, Mel Murder. He writing a letter to the judge, and he's asking for leniency, but he was the lead gang member. He was the one running the Bloods. You see across YouTube, everybody flossing and we want to be a part of this deaf culture, and to the flip side come knocking at your door. You want to be a nigga. You want to be a thug nigga. But I'm telling you, there's a flip side to the game. Now, my niece, that same niece that was in the back room sleep, that was a baby, when they ran in that house and tied my family up, skinny boy, that same niece, skinny boy, is grown now with 3 children. And her oldest child's father was just found murdered. They had their baby when she was 15, he was 16. He went to jail for 7 years for shooting somebody. I used to always talk to him. He called me big homie. We busted up, we talked. He was known as a gun or a shooter. He was about his business. And I would always give him the game. "Listen, young buck, you got it, man. You got a daughter, man, that love you to death, man. You went to prison when she was a baby and you missed most of the years of her life. oh, I know big homie, man, I know big homie. You know, I get what you're saying. I'm like, listen, you got to leave that shit alone, man. Listen, we did enough of that shit for you. And you know where I come from and what I was doing out here and how we was putting it down. If the big homie is telling you to walk away from it, you got to walk away. And he would always say the right things, skinny boy. He would always say the right things. I know I'm going to walk away from this shit, man. I know. But see, what I used to tell him was, you're being taken advantage of and used by the niggas in the hood because you're known as the shooter. They know, skinny boy, that you ain't got a problem with letting them things go. So whenever they start shit or whenever they want to make moves, they just come get you. So I would go pick him up and talk to him, you know, because he was part of my family. He had a baby by my niece. And, you know, trying to hook him up and get him a job. And when he first came home after doing 7 years, he was working. Him and my niece weren't together no more, but he had another girlfriend. But he was getting my great niece every weekend. She would go out to the projects over his house. He was living with his dad. You know, he was trying to do all the right things. But at some point, he fell backwards. But I would always tell him there's a flip side to the game. But I said, brother, you just did 7 years as a kid. You know, there's a flip side to the game. Well, something happened. I don't know the full story. About 3 weeks ago, when somebody was killed, and him and one of his friends, I guess, whoever the boy was that got killed, dad was, I guess, some type of big dude, big time dude, and they had a price put on their head. But my niece's baby father didn't know it. He didn't know he had a price put on his head. So lo and behold, he's somewhere out in North Philly somewhere with some friends that he thought he was cool with. And he went missing last Friday. They found his body Sunday. His best friend, which was my niece's godfather, was killed yesterday. And what I'm saying is, we take all kinds of chances to acquire these material items. We're willing to do anything for it. We're willing to rob, steal, kill, cheat, whatever it is that we need to do. But I'm telling you that there's a flip side to that. I was running so wild and was so delinquent that I feel like for me, the Most High had to sit me down in that wheelchair for 18 months. The Most High had to take my legs away from me, because either I'm going to take your life away from you or I'm going to take your legs away from you to get you to slow down and realize. Because at 14 years old, I had got locked up. I got locked up, Great Black Shark, for justifiable homicide. Somebody tried to rob me, and I ended up getting the advantage on them. And lo and behold, condolences to his family, because we were all very young, living the street life. They made a move on me, and I was able to get the drop and got him, and he lost his life. He lost his life. So here I am, the summer of '89. I'm sitting in prison as a kid for homicide. I can only imagine what I was putting my father through. But I was coming up through those ranks in the streets. And I was always a little guy. I wasn't the biggest guy in the street. You know, but what happened was, for me, when that happened at that young age, instead of it humbling me, Great Black Shark, it made me crazier. Because now I said, damn, I went through juvie hall. People started to revere me for having a body. Man, that nigga right there, that nigga squeezed them things. Man, that nigga got a body. And in my immaturity, I looked at that as a status symbol. I'm the shit now. Yeah, nigga. Now, because remember, I was picked on for being little. I was a little scrawny motherfucker. I'm only 5'7", 5'8" now, but I'm just thick and big. I'm 5'8", 210 now. Rock solid. But back then, I was just a little motherfucker. And I was picked on. But I was always crazy. So now, I go through juvie hall. And they like, yeah, that's the boy, such and such. Yeah, man. Oh, man, listen, you better watch that nigga, man. That nigga known for pulling them things. And that went to my head. So when I came out of juvie hall and came up off that case, man, oh, man, I was hell on wheels. Hell on wheels. Kept going back and forth in and out of the prison system for guns. For guns. Taking my family through the bullshit. And when I see these young people today, I try to talk to young people today, Skinny Boy, about bragging about shooting and my raps. Nigga, I pull out the AR, nigga, and I gun you down and all that shit. And I tell you, I can tell you never shot a person before. And they would say, how? I say, because if you ever shot a person, you don't understand psychologically what that does to the mind when you actually shoot a person. See, you can think about shooting a person, but when you actually shoot a person and you can witness that person running away from you or see that person dying before you, it does something to you psychologically. It never leaves you. That's why most killers or hitters are quiet. They're not overly aggressive. These niggas suffer from PTSD because you never ever lose that shit. See, what happened was, it didn't humble me, and I got a little documentary that I'm actually in the process of making about my life. It didn't humble me. I went back to the streets and I ran wild, but remember, like I always said I was suffering from, I had mommy issues growing up because I grew up without my mom, and nobody ever told me about what happened to my mom. Short story, somebody slipped my mother a Mickey when I was young, and my mom went crazy. But nobody never told me that story. So here I am as a kid, all the way up until I'm 6 years old. I got my mom, and then after 6, I go to school one day and my mom is gone. Nobody never told me nothing. So I grew up angry. Me and my dad didn't get along. Right, great back. I'm gonna get to that grown man business. I'm gonna tell you how it haunts you more and why I suffer from PTSD today. I'm gonna talk about that. I'm leading right into that grown man business. And as I was growing up, I had no compassion for nobody. Because in my mind, I felt like if my own mom couldn't be there for me, bitch, who the fuck are you? Why would you ever love me? How could you be there for me? How could anybody ever be loyal to me? Why would the world ever be loyal to me when my own mother wasn't even loyal to me? This is the way I saw the world, and this is the way I approached the streets. So when it came down time for the drug dealing, nigga, I needed 3-block radius. Nobody can hustle the fuck over here. Here I am, a little 5-foot motherfucker running 6-foot niggas away because I wasn't scared to pull the trigger. Nigga, we need all these blocks. All of this shit belong to us. You niggas got either down, either nigga get down or get found. That's the way we was thinking. So I try to talk to young people today and explain this shit to them because they don't understand. They don't understand the flip side of this lifestyle because they haven't lived long enough to experience. They're still in the moment. See, young people, you're still in the moment. You don't have enough experience and wisdom to understand the flip side of the game. Because if you're in the process of still going in and out of prison, ducking bullets, you're not 10 years, 15 years removed from it where you can take inventory of your life and you can look back on it and say, God damn, look what I survived through. Look at all the homies that died. Look at all of this. You're still in that cold period. So my niece is calling me, crying hysterically. They killed Kelly. Oh my God, Uncle, what should I do? I don't know what to do. And I'm just, I'm on the phone and I gotta go over there and just hold her in my arms and tell her, it's gonna be all right. And but I understand. But now we gotta explain to her daughter that her father's dead. We gotta explain this to her daughter. And her daughter loves and reveres her father. My great niece loves her dad. He's been dead for a week. She don't even know that he went missing or he's dead. She's been calling his phone and he's not answering. She's only 11 years old. She does not know that her father is dead. and they are afraid to tell her. So what I'm saying is, this is the flip side of the game. Some of you young people that may catch this video as it goes along throughout the YouTube world. You out here running the streets and you got children. Well, when you get killed, your children are still left behind here to fend for themselves, and they're affected by your lifestyle and your choices. See, when them robbers ran in that house and tied up my family, that was because of the choices that I was making. That was because of the lifestyle that I was living. Yeah, that was because of that. See, I live in Philadelphia where you had, like I said, you got hitters. You know, my sister was going to night school to get more college credits. And some niggas ran up on her and tried to grab her. She seen them coming before they thought so. She was able to get away. But my homie, my best friend in the world, one of my best friends in the whole wide world, his wife wasn't so lucky. They grabbed her and held her for ransom. I remember all of this like it was yesterday. It was nothing. And I tell these stories and I tell these young people because you got to understand the things that you do affects your family, man. And the young people today, they're not running in houses tying up family and letting people live. They just killing you. They're not even getting nothing. They just going in, they just killing you. They'll come in, tie up the whole family and kill everybody in the house, and all they get out of it is an apple that was in the refrigerator or something on the table. That's all they get in grown man business. And here I am. I clinically suffer from PTSD. I'm a person that tried to commit suicide twice. Now, the first time I tried to commit suicide, I told the story before. I was at the height of my career. I was getting money, street career, getting money. I'm talking about going to Cancun during Memorial Day weekend, going down to the Essence Festival in the Bahamas. We used to rent out the whole floors of hotels, got bitches panty raised, running in and out of rooms naked, all kinds of shit. I mean, what reason, grown man business, do I got to want to commit suicide? But I was empty on the inside. I was just a hollow shell. See, because I showered myself with gifts to hide my insecurities and my pain that I was actually going through. The pain of not having my mom. The pain of not really feeling loved. And the pain of not really being able to love. So I lashed out at people, really for no reason. Just, I can't even explain it, grown man business. But I lashed out at people and I punished people and did wrong things to people that really didn't deserve it. And I guess at that time, it just made me feel better because I was a miserable fuck. And understanding this life and where I come from is why I'm able to be who I am today on YouTube and teach and speak the way that I speak, because I come from somewhere. And I understand the flip side of this game. So my message, Bishop George, gives you be a warning. Because see, what happens is, grown man business, and I'm going to lead right into what you said. Most guys that was hitters in the street. Now watch this. Watch this, I am Aries. Tell me if I'm wrong, Great Black Shark. Do you notice that most of the guys, especially if you're in your 40s or older, most of the people that you knew back in the day that were stone cold killers or was hardcore niggas in the street that live today, a lot of them people are pastors or deacons at a church or real spiritual people. They're in real spiritual places. You know why? Because see, for people like us, there is no middle ground in between. Either I'm crazy as fuck or I'm docile to the side where I don't want any trouble no more. I don't even like the thought of seeing violence. Now, if you try to harm me and my family, you're gonna have trouble. But just me, I want peace. I want to help everybody that I can possibly help. I want to get the word out to people, especially young people. When we go and start these forums, and I'm telling young people about you bragging about shooting people. But do you know that when you're older and you're far removed from that life, you have dreams about that shit that still come in your mind? You can see that person's face. You can see the cry. You can see you can be somewhere with your wife and children having a good time, laughing and joking, and out of nowhere, that person's face will come right in your fucking mind and fuck everything up. See, you don't understand this shit yet, because see, you still in the moment. But see, when the Most High allows you to live or delivers you from a certain lifestyle, it never takes away the scars. Because the scars is a reminder of where you came from. The scars is a reminder of what you've done to stop you from ever going back that way. So I suffer from PTSD, post-traumatic trauma, because of the trauma that I inflicted on other people. So when you dealing with niggas in Chicago, you dealing with niggas in St. Louis that's gang banging, these niggas is gonna be fucked up for life. They might not show that shit, but they wear that shit. Listen, that shit lives inside their mind. Them old 70s gang bang niggas in Chicago, and the Robert Taylor homes, and all those projects out there in the shop, you think them niggas ain't fucked up? That's why they quiet and they don't want no trouble. They just go get a wife, have some children. They live a secluded life. They stay away from everything because that lifestyle fucked them up in the head. And you never get rid of those demons. But young people don't understand this. And I try to save young people, Skinny Boy, from, see, most people you hear Richie, man, I'm gonna fuck that nigga up. Man, I'll slap that bitch. Man, I'll tear these niggas up. Nigga. And you hear them talking all that rah-rah shit, them niggas ain't never hurt nobody in their life. Them niggas ain't never hurt nobody in their life. And I can tell by the way they talk. Because if you ever really hurt somebody, right? And you're older, you live with that. See, because when you start having your own children and you are more civilized now, and now you're able to see the humanity and the compassion in people, man, only thing you think about a lot of times, grown man, is that person's children. I wonder what that man's children is like. I hold my son and I think about that person's son. Or you think about that person's mama. You think about, see now you're seeing the humanity and things that you didn't see. So when you hear girls talking this rah-rah, big mouth shit, I'll fuck a bitch up, and I'm like, man, you ain't never hurt nobody. Do you really know what it's like to hurt somebody, have somebody begging for their life? Or having somebody running frantically to save their life and you're watching them? Do you know what it's like to have somebody die in your arms while they're trying to take their last breath and blood is coming down their mouth? Have you ever seen that? Well, if you've never seen that, most likely if you've never seen that, then you're probably the one talking shit about wanting to hurt somebody. I'm going to fuck these niggas up. I'm going to get these niggas. No, you ain't. You just talking. You just running your mouth. You're just blowing out hot air. Because the flip side to that is the pain that you got to deal with, man. You be surprised the hitters out here that you know in your cities, what they deal with internally. These guys that you call hitters. These guys be fucked up in their heads, man. And a lot of them, that's why when they leave the streets, they become ministers and pastors. Because they get so immersed in the word because we want forgiveness. See, my name is Bishop George because I had to consecrate myself and lay before the Most High and ask for forgiveness for everything that I lived through. I had to beg for forgiveness because I couldn't forgive myself. I couldn't forgive myself for the life that I was living. Now, people may see me walk down the street and they see me as regular George. Oh, I remember him. That's the boy that had the NSX back in the day. They used to do the donuts in the street. That's the boy that had the Lexus Coupe with the MK Motorsports on. Oh, the deep dish. Oh, yeah, that's the boy George. Yeah, him and Michael Street Millionaires. That's the Eminem crew. I remember them niggas. Oh, man, them niggas was crazy. Yeah. But they don't know. I'm trying to run away from that. I'm just trying to get close to the Most High. Because once my tomorrows caught up to me and the flip side of the game came, I couldn't handle that shit. I tried to kill myself. I wanted away from this shit. I wanted out of it. I would have dreams about some of the things that I did. And I had a dream. Where somebody was chasing me in my dream, but at least that's what I thought. They was chasing me, Great Black Shark, in my dream. But the person that was chasing me in my dream wasn't even chasing me. They was trying to catch up to me to tell me that they forgave me. See, I'm telling y'all these stories because you young people, you're going to go through the same shit. And see, some people, Richie, I hear me talk and say, man, that George is crazy. I'm not crazy. I'm telling you what you're going to go through. Because don't think that you're going to be out here doing fuck shit and it's just going, your memory is just going to go blank when you leave it alone. It's just going to go away. It don't go away. It don't go away. The Most High leaves those scars there as a reminder. Yeah, I forgive you, but I'm going to leave the scars. And I would wake up in cold sweats at night to the point where I had to go to the doctor, man. When I tried to commit suicide the last time, they diagnosed me with PTSD. I'd never been in the military. But I was living a fucked up life. And a person came to me in my dreams and said, I forgive you. Where you at, Richie? You there, Richie? You there, Richie?
Yeah, I'm here, bro.
Oh, shit, I think the volume messed up. What's good, Wax Dog? What's happening, my brother? See, I'm transparent and I give you the real when I talk to you. Because I tell the story, I give you another story. One day, after I had just got my legs back, I had just came. Where was we coming? Oh, my old girlfriend. Before I got married, my old girlfriend was in the hospital, and she was having problems with her. Damn, what the fuck is that shit in your stomach when they have to remove it? She was having stomach problems, and she was hospitalized, and her appendix, and they let her go. Now, my crew had some beef with some niggas cross town, and some shit popped off. But what I didn't know was some girl that I was cool with from the block was best friends with one of those niggas cross town sister. And the girl from the block used to come to my house because I used to have barbecues. This was one of my homegirls' family. She was family. But she was best friends with the niggas that my homies had beat with across town. So her best friend been to my house before because we would have barbecue parties. So when the war popped off and niggas started to drop, these niggas cross town knew where George Macon lived because the sister, my homegirl, best friend, the sister was friends. I mean, was a brother, the sister to the niggas that was beef, that they had beef with. So here I am. I'm not a part of the beef at the time. I'm on my way home from the hospital. And I pull up. Now, I'm on my way home from the hospital. The niggas grabbed one of my homies and had him grabbed up. They came to my house where I lived at the time and waited for me to come home. Now, I'm going to tell you this shit I survived through. Waited for me to come home. I got out of the car and walked up the steps and went to open up the storm gate and went to stick the key in the door, but I had a glass door. And I walked right past the guy that was in the bushes. By the grace of the Most High, he didn't open fire. I walked right past him, walked up my steps, unlocked the storm door, and my girl was walking behind me. And she said, George, watch out. And I never saw his face because it was dark. All I heard was, bitch, don't move. And gunshots. So what I didn't know was I was shot in my back. But I didn't know. I thought he killed my girl. When I heard the shots, the glass door that I was standing in front of exploded. Boom! But he turned around and shot at me and shot the glass. So instead of me unlocking the door, I just jumped through the glass and ran up the steps. He come running behind me. My brother was there. My brother saved me because he was actually at the steps and prevented him. I just say he prevented him from getting up the steps. I didn't know that I was hitting my back, that the bullet went in the back and came out right about 2 inches from my spinal cord. I didn't know that. But I'm saying to say that I survived through all of these things. I can look back on these things and I can tell young people where I come from and what the flip side of this game is. Now, here I am, living it up, having the ball, and these guys figure they knew I had nothing to do with it, but they figure, shit, we can eliminate George. We can knock out 2 birds with 1 stone. We can eliminate this nigga. We can get his territory. We can and get this nigga out the fucking way. Well, fuck it, he ain't got nothing to do with it, but let's just go get that nigga anyway. And we can get and his crew. Because these niggas are slipping. They don't even know that we got beef. He don't even know we got beef with this nigga now. But this is the game. This is the game. This is your family members. You women watching this shit. You like to date these thug niggas that was like George. You like to go to these niggas' houses. You like to ride in their cars. But guess what? When them niggas come in there to rob, to do a home invasion, they gonna kill you too. Let me tell you something. When he got that Maybach Benz, or he got that new 745 or 55 or whatever they got today, back when we was out of 735s, when he got that SL 600 and he getting that motherfucking money, and you got hitters out there that say, oh, that's the nigga right there, and they run up on your car with tent, and I'm not in the car, but my girl is, they grabbing you. That's the flip side of the game. See, you playing the music loud, you got your new, you got your $2,500 Cartier glasses on that he brought you. You got your $5,500 Gucci bag that he brought you. Your red bottoms on. You ride in that new Benz, but them niggas won't grab you. And what you gonna do when they grab you and they ask for about $250,000 and about 15 of them things, and your boyfriend say, man, kill that bitch. I don't give a fuck. What you gonna do then? What you gonna do then? See, because this is how I go down in Philly. That's how I go down in New York. That's how I go down in the street. But see, you want to date thugs. You want to date thugs. You want to date, you enamored with this street life. That's the shit. I want a nigga with tattoos and braids that ride motorcycles that get that money. That's what I want. That's the niggas that get my pussy wet. You hear the girl money get my pussy wet. You hear him? You hear him? They got music like that. I'm trying to listen. I'm giving you real game because I go to sleep and I wake up and I'm seeing these young guys being murdered, gunned down. I'm talking about my man Wop, 10 years younger than me, man. He took 2 to the head. For what? The streets is saying that his girlfriend set up a robbery that he had nothing to do with, that he knew nothing about. So when the niggas come to see her, guess what he get 2 to the head? He get killed with her. And this young girl, she used to snort that dope. Pretty young girl too. Let me tell y'all something, man. She wasn't no older than 25 years old, man. Snorting dope. And I used to always see her, because this was Wop's girlfriend. I used to always see her and say, yo, you need to do better for yourself. I was showing like Instagram posts and Facebook posts. I say, look at all the young girls your age. Look at what they're doing. Why you out here on the stoop snorting dope? And she say, I know, big homie, I'm gonna get myself together. I said, why don't you go home to your family? I know, big homie, I'm gonna change my, because that's what they call me, big homie. I know, big homie, I'm gonna change my life, man. I walk around the hood with no gun. Up and down, all the back blocks, no gun. I believe I lived through so much, the Most High got my back. And this young girl now laying below the dirt. I done seen so many people dead. I done been to so many funerals. Let me tell you something. I'll give y'all another story. These wasn't my homies, but these were people that I knew. These were people that I knew, that I was cool with. I didn't run with them. But back in 1994, a couple dudes I knew that was hitters in the street. They was known hitters. they used to hit for hire. You know, they do all kinds of wild shit, right? I explain it this way, because it's public record now, though, but I won't say no names to protect the innocent. A guy got killed. When he was told to come pick up some money. When he went to go pick up his money, they shot him 37 times. His father, who was a hitter, wasn't having it. His father went and started hitting niggas. A couple niggas dropped. At the guy's funeral that went to pick up the money, got hit 37 times, his cousin was shot. You know how when you leave in a funeral and how they have the long line? Because that guy that got killed was a very well-loved people. So he had a whole lot of people at his funeral, Wax Dog. While they had the line riding through the city, 2 vans rolled up on the funeral line, rolled up on the side of his cousin, jumped out with AKs, and shot the car up 150 times. In the fucking line while they was leaving the funeral to go to the burial ground. This is the type of shit I survived. This is what I'm trying to tell you. This is the type of shit. These niggas were so mad and wanted to get back so much, they was leaving the funeral and the funeral procession line, and they rode up on a car, boxed it in, and lit that turned the car into Swiss cheese and everybody in the motherfucking car. Because the war was on. So what I'm saying is, why am I saying all this? You young people, you look at us old heads and think that we don't know nothing. Oh, y'all don't know. No, motherfucker, we the 90s niggas. We the late 80s niggas. We know every motherfucking thing. And we trying to tell you and save your fucking life. Because y'all ain't growing up in the worst era than we did. No era was worse than the fucking 90s. Check DC. Check New Orleans. Check South Central LA. Look, you think Chicago was bad now? Look at Chicago when the Cabrini Green and the Robert Taylor Homes and all that shit was up. In the early 90s. Chicago was fucked up. Check Philly. Check Cleveland. So you young bucks, you see us and you think that you know something when you really don't know anything. You really don't know nothing. And I'm telling you, I can look at certain scenarios, situations, and I can tell you how it's going to play out. You know, it's disheartening. It's disheartening when you get these kind of stories, because people can hear me. People can hear this stream that I'm doing now, but you can relate it to the city that you in. You can relate it to the family that you in. You can relate it back to things that you may have seen. Right, Janice. That's what I'm trying to tell you. They were leaving the funeral procession, and they rolled up, jumped out, and lit that motherfucking car up. And, you know, the crazy thing is, Janice, it's funny that I lived through all these things that went on trial, and all those serious cases, I actually was able to go to court and beat those cases in court. It spent a lot of money. And the one case that I couldn't beat was me getting locked up for, I had a drug case from 96 that they ended up giving me a felony. I'm going to show you how fucked up this is and what I had to explain to my son, Janice. I've been locked up for all kinds of shootings, carjacking, threatening witnesses, all this shit, right? Even locked up twice for physical abuse on women. I've been locked up for all of that, right? I beat all of those cases. But it's 2 cases that I got convictions for. A sale with intent to deliver that I got a felony from in 1996. And I got in a fight one time. I told you the cops beat me up. They threw me through a glass window. I was beating up one of the cops on the enclosed porch, and this big ass black dude, cop like 6'8", 300 pounds, picked me up and threw me through a glass window. I got misdemeanor assault case on that. And these are the shit that I got convicted of. All the other shit, That's by the grace of the Most High. All the things that I sat in prison. I sat in prison for times, but I was able to come off of it. And the only thing that held me back, Richie, is the fucking felony from '96. Right. If you grew up in Harlem in the '90s, then you know what I'm talking about. Because Harlem was fucked up, especially Spanish Harlem. That's where it was, especially Spanish Harlem with them Wild Cowboys and all that stuff where it was popping off. So you know what I'm saying. And I try to explain this shit to my son, and my son wanted to be a hitter like his dad. I found out in the street, Janice, that they was calling my son's nickname in the street, Janice, was Ammo. They called this nigga Ammo. I'm like, what the fuck? Wait a minute. And I didn't know this shit. Because, see, I'm going to tell you, for a while, it was unique. Because Brooklyn 75th and 73rd precinct wasn't no motherfucking joke. And we didn't even get to the Bronx. So I'm with you, Janice. See, Simply Unique. Now, they was calling my son Ammo. That was his street name. Fucking Ammo. Now, here I am, busting my ass, trying to give him a better life where he don't have to do all these things. I figured I went through all the things that I went through so he don't have to go through. Let's acquire properties. Let me put some properties in his name young so he can already have some wealth. So as he grows, he can already have $200,000 to $300,000 in assets already in his name. Let me set all this up for my son. Man, my son in the street running wild. He's known as the hitter. Now, I ain't saying he was hitting nobody, but these niggas is calling him Ammo. That shit killed me. It broke my heart, man. I felt like I was being punished by the Most High. I felt like that was my punishment. I felt like the Most High was telling me. I felt like David in the story. I felt like David in the story of David and Ahithophel when David put Uriah on the front line to get killed because he got Uriah's wife pregnant. And he didn't want Uriah to find out, so he got Uriah killed. And Uriah's wife was Ahithophel's granddaughter. That was David's second in command. And David's punishment from the Most High, this is Bible scripture. David's punishment from the Most High was that his firstborn would die. And David laid before the Lord, and David cried and begged the Lord not to take his firstborn. But because of his sins, David's firstborn was to die. And I felt like, and that's my favorite scripture in the Bible. The story of David and Ahithophel. It said that Ahithophel was so intelligent when he spoke, it was like God speaking to himself. Ahithophel was David's second in command. David slept with Ahithophel's granddaughter, who was Uriah's wife, and David didn't want Uriah to find out, and Uriah was loyal to David. He put Uriah on the front line, and Uriah got killed. And when Ahithophel got wind of it, he sought to kill David for his sins. And the Most High saved David from being murdered, but he told him that his punishments for his iniquities and his sins would be the death of his first son. And I felt like the punishment for the iniquities of my sins would be the death of my first son. But by the grace of the Most High and by the blessings, he didn't die. He ended up going to prison on a very long prison sentence. Now he's coming out. But I just hope that he's listening and hope that he got the game that I've been trying to tell him. He called me on the phone and said, "Pops, you're right. You've been right the whole time. I should have been listening to you. See, you young people, you got to listen to us because we've been through this shit. Let me tell you something, man. I'm the reason, and people like me in the streets is the reason. This is going to sound fucked up, but I got to be 100%. I got to be 100. I'm the motherfucking reason. Some of you niggas ain't got no dad. I'm the motherfucking reason. Some of your dads is locked up for years in the hundreds because we was running wild. So you better listen to me what I'm trying to tell you. A lot of you niggas grew up with it. Your dad got killed in 93. Your dad got killed in 94. Your dad been in a wheelchair since 97. So we know what we talking about. We grew up in the drug era when shit was really going down. Stop saying, I ain't got no old heads. You old heads are slow. You old heads don't know what you're talking about, man. Shut the fuck up and listen. See, I say the shit that's uncomfortable. I'm gonna give you the real. I'm gonna tell you real, live, unadulterated, real shit. Yeah, Great Black Shark. David was loved by God, but trouble never moved away from his home. Right. What David did was so wicked that his own son Absalom wanted to kill him because the other brother had raped their sister. See, while David was running around, I gotta preach for a minute. I gotta turn into Bishop George for a minute. I gotta get in my pulpit for a minute. And I gotta bring scripture for a minute to bring this full circle. While David was always at war and running around, sleeping around on escapades and not doing the right thing, David was not taking care of his home. David was not taking care of his home. David's home was in disarray to the point where one of his sons raped his daughter. And the other son, Absalom, killed the son. David was mad at Absalom for killing his son. And Absalom was enraged. How could you be mad at me for killing my brother when he just raped your daughter, my sister? And Absalom wanted to meet with David, but David wouldn't talk to him. So Absalom went and convened with Ahithophel, who was already upset because Ahithophel found out that David had got his granddaughter pregnant, who was Uriah's husband. And David killed Uriah. So Ahithophel was enraged. Ahithophel said, I've been loyal to you. I loved you. I protected you. I negotiated peace treaties when we didn't have to go to war. And this is the thanks you give me, David? So Absalom and Ahithophel conspired to kill David, who was God's chosen one. But David had favor in the Lord, the Most High, and David prostrated before the Lord and begged for forgiveness. And the Most High said, I will forgive you, but your firstborn child will die. You have to have a punishment for the life that you was indulging in and living. But see, instead of Ahithophel, who was more intelligent than David, going to the Most High, to prostrate before the Most High, to explain what David had done, he sought to take things into his own hands and take the life of David. So ultimately, Ahithophel and Absalom end up losing their life. David ended up living to tell the story, but the birth of his first child died. And that's my favorite scripture in the Bible because I can relate it to so many different things in my life, or I can relate it to the streets. You have a desire or want to have something that don't belong to you, and you're willing to do anything for it. You're willing to lie, steal, cheat. It don't matter who you hurt. You already have things. You have the respect of the people. You have the love of the people. You have all kinds of material items. But your thirst and greed for things of worldly things, you just have to have it all. So when David saw Ahithophel's granddaughter, he just had to have her. He didn't use common sense of saying, this is my man's granddaughter. This is one of my main soldier's wife. She's off limits. He went and indulged anyway. And when she got pregnant, he went to any lengths that he could do to cover it up. Now, how does that translate into street life? We're willing to do anything to acquire material items. We're willing to do anything to get the things we need. And we do it, guess what we can't do, Richie? We can't leave behind no witnesses. So a lot of innocent people die in our quest to acquire material things. And a lot of times, Janice, when we in them courtrooms and the world done slowed down and you've been sitting in jail for 3 years waiting trial, you hear these people saying, I just want to apologize to the family. I'm sorry. I was living a life that, you know, the veil was over my eyes, man. I couldn't see what I can see now. You're in apologetic mode. But when you're in that lifestyle, in that mode where you want to acquire things and you're willing to do anything, you're willing to be as savage as you can be. This is the streets. This is the flip side to the game. See, because the game will turn you into a savage. See, because when I was in the game, I was a savage. Anybody got in my way got ran over. Anybody got in my way got ran over. And I went through being paralyzed and having to learn how to walk all over again to attempting suicide twice before I finally woke up and said, enough is enough, Janice. Enough is enough. I surrender, I submit, I give up. I surrender, I submit, I give up. And the Most High was saying to me, I've been here with you the whole time. You just wasn't listening. I've been speaking to you the whole time. I've been protecting you the whole time. But you just couldn't hear my voice. You couldn't hear my voice. And if you could, you ignored me. And I'm telling, so now I got to go, I'm holding my niece in my arm and I'm explaining to my niece, telling her it's going to be all right, knowing that it's not going to be all right for a while. Her daughter's father is dead. And now we got to explain this to my baby niece because see, now she's introduced to the flip side of the game. Now my great niece has a father that's been murdered while she's a child, and she's going to carry that burden for the rest of her life. She's not her father, nor she's his choices, but she's affected by her father's choices, who is now dead. And is not going to be in her life. He's not going to be the first example of what a man should be. He's not going to be there to console her. He's not going to be there to answer questions when she needs them answered. He's not going to be there when she starts to talk to boys and she needs guidance, direction. She needs correction. He's not going to be there. So she is already affected by this the minute his heart stopped beating. And he's no longer going to be able to be there for his daughter. The first man in his life, she's already experiencing trauma already, and she don't even know that her father's gone. So this message, this sermon, and this message is for the living. Because you brothers out there running wild, running the streets, putting your life on a crap table, on a roulette table. You don't understand the trauma that you're putting on your children. Because as that boy begins to grow and becomes of age, he has certain questions that he's going to need answered from his father. He's going to need certain direction from his father. And when you're not there to provide it, what's the outcome of this little boy? See, because like David, you had the thirst of worldly things, but the wages of sin is death. The wages of the material world is death. The wages of chasing this fabrication, this oasis in the desert, is death. There's no other way I can put it. I've had homies die in my arms. I've watched brothers take their last breath on the ground, grasping for air. I've heard a brother say, tell my mama I love her. And he died before the ambulance could get there. I've seen all of this shit. I've seen it. The wages of sin and worldly life is death. But what we don't realize is our children and family suffer the most, because when you transition to God, you move on to the next situation. You move on to be with the Most High. But the family members are still here to suffer. How many of you out there listening to the sermon can relate to saying, my daddy died when I was 5? My daddy was murdered when I was in the stomach, and I never knew my daddy. I never could talk to my daddy. I'd give anything to dance with my father again. And these are the things that young people don't realize. See, when I start preaching, people start running out. See, when I turn into Bishop George and we get into the Holy Tabernacle, people start running out. People start running out of the church. See, we go from 40 to 29 when I start bringing that word because they don't want the word. They don't want the real. I'm going to give you the real. So I'm telling young people, you're not just living about you. You're not just living for you. See, I got an 11-year-old son. If somebody kills me, as he begins to grow into his puberty and transition period, who's teaching him? Who's telling him about who's teaching him about wearing clean underwear? Telling him to hold his chest up and his chin up and speak and look a man in the eye. Who's teaching him what manhood is now? That's my job. That's my job. That's my job. But because I love the streets and the street life more than his upbringing and protection, he has to bear the burden now of having a dead father. The wages of sin is death. You have to make a choice, young people, especially when you have babies. See, because when you read that letter, that Mel Murder from the 6'9" Trey Bloods or whatever in New York wrote to the judge, he said he wants to be there for his 19-year-old daughter and 5-year-old son. He wants to be there for his children. But now you're in a situation where you got to go away for a long time. You didn't think about that Mel Murder before you got there? See, you was a big homie. And see, the big homies took us under the wing and taught us the game. But they was using us for their own personal gain. And when we grew up, we emulated the big homies and we did the same thing. I recruited young guys. I'm gonna give y'all a little something before I get out of here for the documentary that I'm doing on my life. I'm gonna tell you when I knew the game for me was over. One day, I was in my apartment, my condo, and there was a young guy that used to come see me. I put it that way. He used to come holler at me. Young guy, man. I was about 10 years older than him, so let's just say when I was 20, he was 10. When I was copping coops, he was sitting on a stoop, watching me drive by, enamored, wanting to be like me, wanting to be the big homie. Always asking me, take me with you. Let me ride with you. Let me wash the car. I give you $10. He was this guy. So now when I'm 30, he's 20. But now he's in the game. The guy was young. He was eager, Janice. He knew how to get to $1. He was smart. He wasn't a gangster, but he was smart. He was pragmatic. He had charisma. And he trusted me. He'd come see me with thousands of dollars by himself. Never think that I would ever do anything to him. Not to say that I would have, because I love the young guy. But I had to sit him down one day and give him game and say, listen, you got to protect yourself. You can't be this easy like this, because anybody will try you and kill you, right? But one day, Janice, he called me and said, I'm on my way to see you. And this is when I first heard the voice of the Most High. Damn, I'm about to cry. This young man pulled up at my house and I looked out the window. Hold on for a second. Hold on. I gotta tell this story. This brings tears to my eyes. Because this is when I knew that it was time to change. Hold on, let me get myself together. He didn't notice at the time, but when he got out of the car, I looked out the window and I looked at him as he was walking over to my place. And in that moment, I looked at that young man and I said, I wonder what he would be doing if he wasn't selling drugs. And see, some people will hear that and be like, oh, that's all that was? That wasn't nothing. But see, if you never lived the life, you don't understand. They don't understand Great Black Shark. For the first time in a long time, I saw the humanity in another black man that would be that didn't benefit me. I said, I wonder what it would be, what he would be. This guy was intelligent. He was handsome. He was tall. He was smart. He was everything that he had no business being in that game, because whatever choices in life that he would have chose to do, he would have been successful. But he never had anybody ever tell him that. His father was killed when he was 7. So when he came into the house, we handled our business or whatever, but he would always want to hear stories about the streets, like what I'm telling now. And now I couldn't, my game to him was, man, you got to get out this shit, man. Get you a girl, man, fall back, just live his life. And I would tell him how intelligent he is. One day, we was down the waterfront. We was at a high-end restaurant down on the waterfront. And I was talking to him and giving him game. And he got mad at me, right? He said, man, how come, man, you always lecturing me, man? You always trying to tell me what to do. And I said, because that's my job. He said, man, you like the damn father I never had. And I said, why you say that? He said, man, like nobody ever talked to me the way you do. He said, like, you don't ask me for nothing. Like, you just always trying to give me the game. And what happened was, like I told Richie, I knew that my drug dealing days was over because I had become civilized. I cared more about his well-being than about how much money that he can make me. I cared more about his life and saving his life from what he didn't know. All the way to the point where he said, I'm like a dad that he's never had. Because he wasn't used to brothers showing that type of love. He was used to brothers talking to him in ways that it would benefit them. But I no longer wanted to be a part of that. Here it is, Janice. This was a young guy. If I told this young man to go shoot somebody, go do something, he would have did it because he loved me that much. He wanted to be a part of what I was doing that much. And for the first time, because him just being who he is, the Most High used him to show for me to see the humanity in a person. The Most High brought this young man into my circumference, into my life, and used him as a tool to say, you know what? What are you going to do with this young man? Are you going to ruin him like they ruined you? Or are you going to recognize the talents in this young man and tell him that he's greater than these things? What are you going to do? See, because the big homies celebrated the fact that I had a shooting at 14 years old. Some of the big homies said go the other way, but a lot of the big homies encouraged. So the Most High was asking, this is your crossroads, George. This young man right here is willing to do anything that you would ask him to do. This young man loves you. Where are you going with this one? And what happened, Great Black Shark, was once I saw the humanity in another black man, my drug dealing career was over. It was no way that I could be the person I was on Tuesday once I heard the voice of the Most High on Wednesday. It was over. Everything that I tried to do after that went bad. It just didn't work for me because I was being called back home. I was being called to the word that was calling me the whole time, but I just didn't hear the voice. And that young man said, you are like a father that I never had. And psychologically, that did something for me because for the first time in a long time, I was able to hear my own father's voice who always tried to get me to do the right thing. But because nobody ever told me about my mother, I resented my father. I resented everything that my father tried to teach and tell me because I looked at him as the reason why I didn't have my mother in my life. And when this young man came into my life, just being himself and me being able to see the humanity in him, it helped me forge a better relationship with my own daddy. Now, I could have took this brother and I could have used him for my own personal gain to do all kinds of things that would have made us money. But I no longer had that in me, because I said, this young boy, I told Satan, I said, you can't have this one. And if you do get him, it's not going to be because of me. So when indictment time came around and my daughter was caught in the crossfire and a lot of us start going off to jail and everything, I didn't see him for about a good 2 years. Needless to say, Janice, today, that young brother is married. He's been he's in carpentry and engineering work. He's been doing that now for the last 18 years. He's making about $46 an hour. Union. He's married with 3 children. And every time we talk or I go out to his house in Jersey, he always tells his wife, I saved his life. And he always look at me as like the pop he never had. Because see, I was that guy that when he was 10 years old, I was 20. I was the guy that he looked up to, that wanted to be like, that he wanted to emulate. These kids didn't fuck Michael Jordan. They didn't want to be Michael Jordan. They wanted to be the drug dealer in the street. The same way when I was young, I watched the Junior Black Mafia and the Craig Haynes crew and all the crews in Southwest. I wanted to be like them. I wanted to be like my Uncle Jimmy that had the Rolls Royces and the bitches. That's who I wanted to be like. I didn't want to be like my dad. I had an uncle that was a 70s kingpin. Big houses in Delaware with the pools in the back, Rolls Royces, SL coupes. I told you. I got a black dad and a Latino mom. So when I came in the game, I didn't come in having to do the pack on the corner. I came in on a higher level. And seeing my dad go to work every day, bust his ass as a blue collar guy, as a tradesman, and then seeing an uncle pull up to my grandmom's house in a fucking Rolls Royce. Who the hell you think I wanted to be like? With the baddest bitches that you could ever imagine. Women that look like Abalone. He pulling up with them all. Saying, hey, nephew, with all the suits on. That's who I wanted to be like. So when that young guy saw me, that's the same thing he saw. And I said, I can't let Satan get his hooks in this young guy. If I got something to do, I gotta be responsible. I gotta do something different. So I'm saying this to say, when you see most guys that live the street life, the reason why they become ministers, because there's no middle ground with us. Once we get away from the side running with Satan, the only thing you can do is soldier for the Most High and teach this word. I don't believe that no Jesus is coming from the sky to save me. I believe that the Most High is in me, and I magnify the Most High every time I speak, every time I move. The Most High is in me, and I create and manifest things with the belief that the Most High is in me will deliver me. Because I believe that the whole time I was running wild, the Most High was with me. I just didn't hear his voice. We just got to begin to hear the voice. That avatar you see me right there, that's me in the wheelchair. It's me in the wheelchair. I lived through that. I had to have one of my best homies pick me up and sit me in the tub so my girl can wash me. I couldn't take care of myself. You see if you look close to the avatar, you can see my fingers. You see how my fingers was all messed up, all bent up. Yeah, that's where I come from. So you gonna tell me ain't no such thing as the Most High? I'm gonna tell you, get the fuck away from me. I know where I came from. I know what I've been through. I know what I survived through. I know what I've seen. I've seen some of the most vicious, vile things that a young man should have never saw. And some of you young men are going through that right now. And you thinking, you're saying to yourself the same thing we did. Man, I don't care. I ain't going to live past 25. My mama been on crack all my life. Nobody loved me. I don't give a fuck. I'm here to tell you I love you. And you ain't alone in this walk. It was brothers like you before you was born. You just going to have to put the guard down and open up and allow brothers to come in to be able to help you and walk with you in this struggle, man. Because there's a light at the end of the tunnel. You got to want for your brother what you want for yourself. And you got to learn how to love. You got to be taught how to love. Because I didn't know how to love. I didn't know how to love properly until I finally saw the humanity in the person, because I grew up without my mother and I was angry. And I had people that tried to love me, but I never let them, I never put my guard down to be loved because I didn't want that hurt. How many of you out there can relate to that? So when you hear people saying that God ain't real and all that kind of stuff, get away from them people, please. The Most High is real. It lives in you. It lives in you, man. We just got to remember, man. Well, you got to remember what your role, what is your true role. So you're not come on here, I'm gonna give you the real, I'm gonna give you real stories. I'm not gonna fuck around and pussyfoot around, because we live real lives. People dying for real. People in pain for real. People are suffering from PTS for real. A lot of our sisters are being molested for real. And they want to be loved and they want to be wise, but they don't know how to properly love. They don't know how to properly select and pick men because their dads were murdered at a very young age or wasn't in their life. So when it comes down time for them to pick and choose a man, they don't have the slightest idea how to pick a man, because the first man that was supposed to be in their life to teach them was never there. So now she's walking around angry. Now she's walking around not feminine because that first man is not there. So I'm telling you, young guys, when you're out there living that life, it's no longer about you once you bring a life into this world. The streets is not more important than the daughters or the sons that you have. The streets is not more important than my son. You have to make a choice. And when that young guy got out the car to run over to my house, that day I made a choice and said, I'm not letting Satan get him. You can't have this young man right here. You can't have his life. I might have surrendered many more over to you, but you can't have this one. And that's when I knew that my career was over. Because that was the day I finally heard the voice of the Most High. How many of you out there are at that stage where you finally heard the voice of the Most High? Or how many of you out there still running like David? How many of you out there still running like David? Chasing material wealth. You already have things, but you want more. And you're willing to do anything and sacrifice anything to get it. How many of you out there still running like David? And when you get in trouble, you wanna prostrate before the Lord after you done committed the ultimate sin, when you should know better already. How many of you out there still living that way and want to blame the world and everybody else for the choices that you make? You want to blame the world because you opening your legs up, just let any man between your legs, and now all men are fucked up. You blaming the world because you just slinging dick everywhere and she got you in child support court. Now bitches ain't shit. At what point do you take responsibility for the decision making that you're making? Are you still running like David? Where the Most High is saying, I will forgive you, but there will be a penalty for the decisions that you made. How about you don't make those decisions so you don't have to experience the penalty? How about you learn from the mistakes that David made? These are the choices that we got to make. And when Bishop George comes, I'm just going to tell you the real, man. What choices are you making? So, this concludes, today's sermon. Me, I come in, I start talking. I had you there, Richie?
I'm there. Can you hear me?
Volume is messed up. Yeah, your volume's still messed up, family.
Yeah, that's why I didn't bother.
Thank you, Buffalo Gal. I just tell you the real, man. We come into the Holy Tabernacle, man, to talk, man. I'm not, I don't, I'm not your average minister. I'm not going to pussyfoot around and tell you that garbage that they be telling you. I'm gonna tell you the truth, and I'm gonna be honest with you. You got a choice to make. David had a choice. I told my son the story of David and Ahithophel. You don't have to. You don't have to go through the fire. You can learn from the mistakes of other people before you, and you could be better and you could do better. All the things that I've been through, the trials I've been on, being in the wheelchair, being just down on so many different things, taking 27 pills and hiding under a bed and trying to kill myself because I wanted to get away from the demons that was chasing me. I did all that. And the whole time, the Most High was right there just saying, come on over. Just listen to I'm here. I did all that. Trying to get away. See, it get to a point where the Most High tell David, I'm going to kill your first child. David said, well, no, take me instead. Well, it get to a point where you caught up in those streets so much and caught up in that glamorous life and enamored with that crap. But overlooking your tomorrows, but when it comes down time to pay up, you ain't got enough to give. So now at the height of my career, here I am taking pills and wanting to kill myself. And one will ask the question, why? You got girls, you got cars, you got houses, you got everything, but I still wasn't happy. I still wasn't happy. I still wasn't happy. I wasn't fulfilled. There was still a void in my life. There was still something missing. And these are questions that you have to ask yourself. What are the voids in your life? What is missing in your life? Why aren't you happy? Why can't you find a good man? Why can't you find a good woman? Why everything that comes into your life turns into shambles? Why do you blame everybody else instead of taking inventory of yourself and looking at the choices that you make? Why do you make the choices that you make? These are the questions that you have to ask yourself. Look at yourself in the mirror and confess to yourself who you are. And let's begin to have a conversation. So remember, I love my people more than they hate themselves. And I pray to the universal creator, Most High, that these words are enough to inspire you. These words are enough to make you look at yourself in the mirror and make change. These words are enough to make you look at your children and know you have to make change. I hope that when you came here for information. And when you leave here greater than what you was before you came. You leave here edified. I hope that you share this information on Facebook, Periscope, Twitter, all the stuff that they got today. Share it everywhere. Let's have a conversation. Let's begin to question ourselves. Let's begin to question our decision makings. Let's begin to question our commitments. What are you committed to? Huh? What are you committed to? What do you give your time to? Huh? What are you devoted to? And once you find out what you're devoted to and what you give your time to, you'll understand the type of energy that you bring in your life, and you can begin to make the change. See, because you're responsible for the energy that you bring to your life. You are the one responsible. Nobody else. So I had to take responsibility that day when I seen that young man run across the street and say, I'm not going to be the one to lead this young man astray. I'm not going to be the one to do that. I'm not going to be the one to do that. So remember, I love y'all. Till the next time. Peace. Peace, Janice.